Literally.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're still getting synced up. It looks like we're online now. The timing's always a little bit early or late, but I think we're ready to go. My name is Crates, and we are here doing another live stream of programming, pair programming. I'm here with Elliot and Steve, and we are putting together an app called VieDay. It's a mindfulness, productivity, and organization tool, and we've been building it for a little while now. Done a few weeks of this. Right now we're building this daily checklist. So we've got a GraphQL backend, and we put together a really cool code generator that's automated that helps us run these queries and mutations. And everything is pretty much working pretty good so far. But we are getting a couple of new errors here. So I don't know where we left off last time we streamed, but the issue that we were having all of last week is we were having difficulty getting through to any type of working GraphQL mutation because we couldn't reference a foreign key. So basically we're trying to insert one of these checked items on a user's record and say, hey, this user checked this item, but there was no concept of referencing a foreign key as a string. You could only insert an item and then insert the sub item as a full insert operation, which was kind of silly and it didn't make much sense. And I tried a weird workaround hack, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I did a bunch more research, and after a ton of banging my head against the wall, figured out that an upgrade to Hasura was needed. So I upgraded to Hasura 1.3.3, and all of a sudden it looks like foreign key relationships are working okay. So now the issue that I'm having here, and the reason why I decided to go ahead and stream this one, is I think we can solve this one together. It looks like we just syntactically are not calling the hook that's been generated correctly. So now I've got two inputs for the hook. One of them is the UUID of the action ID associated with what we're checking, and the second one is the date, which should always be the current date for our current implementation. So let's go ahead and have a look at our code.
Hey, Grace, do you mind throwing the link in the chat real quick?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I'll grab the stream link here. And while that's loading for me, anybody who's looking at the stream on the screen here, you're going to see this GraphQL code gen. That thing has been quite a godsend. I am a big fan. I really like the way that that has enabled us to get React hooks generated with TypeScript very, very quickly. So if you're looking to follow along or you're trying to get your own thing going, I can't recommend it highly enough. I think it's a great time saver, and definitely has been instrumental in producing a really quick and easy solution for us. And I don't think I actually kicked off the share on Meet here too, so let me make sure I do that in case you want to follow along by looking at the whole screen. So I'll take a second to do that as well. The music playing here is one of my own. This is Fest Life Is from an album called Festivals. Okay, so at some point soon, I hope I will replace this with a little bit more beefy of a computer, because it seems like this guy is really struggling to do what I'm asking it to do here. And I've almost got that link for you, Steve. When I send it over to you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up so that we can get a little bit more traffic in the future. It's always good to help us with our promotion there as well.
You got it.
Come on, you. This does not bode well. I'm right-clicking here. I'm not getting any results. There we go. Now we're talking. Let's get cracking. I'm going to turn my camera off on the Google Meet. My computer is on its knees right now. Yeah, that helps quite a bit. Cool. So I got the presentation going here, and I've got your link going. And now we can get down to business. So where we left off last time, we had... let me just make sure I'm sharing the right window here. We got IntelliJ good. We had built out this GraphQL. And last night, after I did a little work for PwC, I goofed around a little bit here and figured out how to get these mutations working right. So we were having a lot of grief with this previously, but now it's as simple as just putting a very basic mutation. So we're going to have to call it with variables that match this signature now. Action ID, checked on, checked ID. And I think that's been the new issue that I encountered after I had finished that fix. So right now, what we're getting is a little bit of fields that are null that shouldn't be null. So that's going to be pretty easy to fix, I think. So why don't we go ahead and let IntelliJ do the heavy lifting for us here, since they've already generated all the hooks for this. Now we're going to go ahead and pop over into our component, which I think is also checklist daily here, and it recognizes our hooks. I don't know if we want use insert checked. I think we want use insert checked 1. So let's go ahead and see if that's the case. I'm going to go ahead and bring back the audio on the background music there for the live stream too. So that's, oh, it's case sensitive. That's why. Here we go. Now we're talking. Insert checked mutation. That's the type. Insert checked document. We're going to use that later for auto-generating tests. Use insert checked mutation. That's what we're referencing right now, but I think... No, I don't see any that's referencing a 1, so it must be able to do its own calculation to decide whether or not it's going to use the... Internally, Hasura has 2 separate mutations it runs for a 1 or a many, and it looks like GraphQL code generator is just handling it, which is great. That works great for us. So inserted data here doesn't match the signature, which is why I think those 2 variables are missing. So I'm going to, if you're looking at the stream, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the inspector real quick. We're going to look at the actual network request that's getting sent. We can see what's going across the wire here. So let's go ahead and, I've got the network tab open. You always got to do that before you try and do any actions in order to get them recorded. And I'm going to find my VieDay window here. I do have quite a few. And let's go ahead and take a look at what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and click on one of these guys. Let's drink less than 32 ounces of soda or 1 liter, less than 32 ounces or 1 liter of soda or juice. Probably have to make that read a little easier too. So I don't know if you guys can see it on the stream, but it's loading. Get good with your bad self. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look and see if we got a network request with that. Interesting. So it sees that I'm logged in. I'm wondering if maybe the upgrade or something changed structurally the request. No, it looks like it's still waiting on auth 0. Let's give it a second and see what's going to happen here. Go ahead and try it again. It could be, hopefully it's not a bandwidth issue. I've got fiber optic here, but let's see. Okay, cool. So we're back operational here. I'm gonna go ahead and trigger one of these. There we go. That happened pretty much instantly, as it should. Let's go ahead and see what that looked like over here. Okay, and what we're looking for is a GraphQL request. And looks like action ID was null, and so that's why our insert check mutation failed. So let's go ahead and see about passing that along in the data of the request that we're sending with checklist daily. So looks like we need to set action before we call the hook here. I'm wondering if, because this was working at least enough before that we were getting the variables correctly. Insert check mutation should be using the entire object for action inside the data field. And right now it's referencing inserted data, which is, it looks like a variable. Oh no, that's the return response. Okay. The variables should be inside action. So we've got these two use states. We've got set action and set check. Those are setting the IDs associated with the mutation we're trying to run. We are setting the action ID here. Maybe we aren't. Maybe this was checked isn't coming across correctly. So let's test that with a breakpoint. And then, you know, this is something we've mentioned on previous calls, but once we get through the first feature here and get a little implementation going that's working well, we're going to shift away from testing with breakpoints and start leaning more heavily on unit tests. For now, we don't really have a good map around doing that. And so just for speed of debugging, until we've got good patterns that we can replicate over and over again, we're just going to use the quick and dirty way. So which controller is this in? The checklist daily component. Whoops, here it is. I see it right there. Okay, and I want to know what happens when we're calling that event handler. So we're going to go ahead and put a breakpoint right there, and then go ahead and try and toggle an item. So it's a good sign that our breakpoint hit. And was checked was false. So we should end up in here with this set action. And then that should happen before we run the insert check mutation. Okay, so toggle ID does have a valid ID on it. Right now, action should be empty, but it should also get set in a minute, in theory.
I didn't get that. Would you try again?
Go away.
Okay.
My iPad thinks I'm talking to it. I've got Apple and Alexa and Google all in the same room now, so my house is constantly asking me what I said.
What did you did you say?
Exactly.
Throwback to that time that I accidentally told the Googles in my house to call the FBI, and they did.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that was a funny one.
That's fantastic. That might be the best smart device story I've ever heard. I didn't realize.
We were kind of joking about it, because like they're already listening, right?
I didn't realize that was that easy. Do not ever, ever tell Pierce about that.
I told him.
So it looks like it ran that command, but action is still not available. Not really sure what the deal is with that. It would appear that action is not getting set. And if action is not getting set, then when it tries to send that action ID, it's not going to work right. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. This one sent an action ID. And now it just wants it checked on. So that's going to be the current date. That's an easy one. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here and get some shorthand for transcoding the date into the format that we want it in. And just so the kids at home can follow along, I'll bring that up on my there it is right there. Okay, so 2 ISO string split T0. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. I'll go back to the oh boy, my computer is crawling. I'll go back to the VieDay window here. We're going to do a new date.now, 2 ISO string split by the character T, and grab the first result. Let's see what that looks like. Jumping over to the inspector again to run that command. Date.2. Oh, I got to run the parentheses on that. Hey, that's exactly what I wanted. Fantastic. Okay. So when we run this set action, we're going to do this here. We'll say const today is new date. Nice. So, IntelliJ is beefing with me here. She doesn't like this. Looks like it's because... Okay. That makes sense. So the set state right now is casted to only have one variable in it here. So let's do, okay, because we put an interface here. So we're going to do something very similar here and update that. Checked on, and this will be scaly date. Nice and scaly, just how I like it. And then we've got that. And so that works okay. And then over here, we're going to put this back the way I had it a second ago. I like it. Okay, so I think that's got everything that we need here. Let's go ahead and try this baby out. I'm going to go back over to my inspector and turn off those breakpoints because, oh, wait a minute. Module build failed. Unexpected Euro character. Oh boy, it's happening again. This is from me switching the windows. So I'll have to change my OBS Studio hotkeys here because I'm injecting all sorts of awful characters here. It's the using the option key on a Mac will generate all sorts of weird characters. So I do have a cool little streamer helper device showing up tomorrow, so maybe I'll try that next time. Make it a little easier for me to switch between windows without screwing everything up. Anyways, hopefully this will build now. I'm gonna wait for this guy to reload. Recompiling. Time for a whipped cream break.
Time to do a shot. Shot of whipped cream.
All right. And I forgot to turn off my breakpoints. Silly me. So when I tried to click on something here, we ran into trouble. So I'll turn these off now. And then command / will get us back to it. Before I do that, let's go ahead and jump back over to the Chrome window. Okay, so it doesn't look like anything changed there. So something's probably still broken. I'm going to go ahead and jump back over to the inspector. We'll go ahead and have a look and see if we can figure out what's going on. Okay, so the good news is it looks like it is inserting something. The bad news is, where the hell is it? So now let's go ahead and see what got inserted into the database. Okay, so we're going to take a look at checklist checked. This is where I would expect this to have been inserted. Because we were running the, what was it? Use insert check mutation. And so now that it's working, which I think it is, we should see something in here. Okay, I think I see the problem. So it looks like the date string that I got with that to ISO string, it gave me a date for tomorrow. Can anybody guess why that was?
Is it because it uses an index 0?
No, I don't think that's the right answer.
Gotcha.
Steve, you want to take?
I've had similar issues with JavaScript dates because it'll use an index 0 for the month, but that doesn't look like the issue here. It's the day that's the.
Steve, you want to take a crack at it? Why does it think it's tomorrow?
I don't know.
Okay, no worries. The reason why I think it's tomorrow, my guess is because it's currently 8:42 p.m. where I am, and I'm 4 hours behind Greenwich Mean Time. So I think it's 12:45 a.m. or 12:43 in the morning tomorrow, instead of 8:43 on the East Coast. So what's that?
I understand.
Cool. So let's go ahead and see if we can get this adjusted, and it shouldn't be too hard. So I'll go ahead and jump back over to the terminal window here, and we're gonna take the command that we ran a second ago. We're gonna tweak it just a little bit. So we were using to ISO date string, but I think we want to try and get a locale-based one.
I was just gonna say you can do that inherently with the date API in JavaScript. Right?
Yeah. So let's try to locale date string. That might work okay as is, so I'm not going to mess with it. Let's see if this works out just without changing anything about it. It's a little different than I formatted it because I used the ISO format when I gave it to the command earlier, but let's go ahead and see.
And you can still perform that ISO string mutation on it, can't you?
You know what? You're probably right. That's a good idea. So what if we tried that? What if we took... No, once it's a string, it's no longer... We could do that if we did new date and then put this inside of it and then did to ISO string. If we did that, I think that would work. Yeah. So that'll be our fallback method. I don't want to use the more complicated one unless we have to, but if this doesn't work with a simpler one, then we'll use that one instead.
Okay.
And I would have to assume, oh no, we don't need to worry about the same thing for the delete mutation because we're actually using the ID of the checked item, which is a different UUID and not correlated to a date. So we'll give this a second to reload. I'll jump back over to the Chrome screen here. All right, guys, what do you think? Is it going to work?
50-50.
Steve, yay or nay?
I am an optimist, so I will go with yay.
I'm going to go with yes too. Let's give it a shot. Nope, not yet. Not yet, and I am getting some kind of non-nullable UUID error here too. I don't know if that's validation failed. I'm just checking the console here. Anybody listen to the stream? This is some brilliant music by Depths of Azure. A buddy of ours, Matt, really solid guitarist, musician, songwriter. Okay, so this time I see insert checked. The variables were all null. And I'm wondering if maybe that's because there isn't enough time for the set state to finish. So I'm wondering if maybe does set state, can we get set state to return a promise and run something as a callback? Okay, so it looks like we might be able to just send a callback as a secondary parameter. Let's give that a shot. So we're going to call set action, and then only after that's done, oh, let me switch over to my IntelliJ so you guys can see what I'm doing. You guys see that okay? Didn't like that one bit. Expected one argument but got two. So it looks like maybe somebody gave me some bad advice here. This was on a Stack Overflow here, suggesting that maybe goals call async after the state update is complete. Huh. This is weird. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever messed around with callbacks after a set state, but async function promise void expected one argument but got two. That's weird. Let me see if I can find an answer to this. So you guys are welcome to do a little searching on your end as well. We're looking for how to get set state to have a callback. and I'll go ahead and jump over for anybody keeping an eye on the stream. I'm going to try and figure out.
Could you use a use effect?
Yeah, we might be able to.
You're essentially trying to.
That's a good idea.
Use this as a lifecycle method, right?
Yeah, so that's a good idea. So what if we so predicated upon only the variable action, right? If so wait a minute, we can't do equals 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 null because that doesn't work correctly. So I got to look that one up as well because null comparisons are a little flaky in JavaScript. So give me a second on that one. Because like Lodash has a function is null that you can use. I suppose we could just do that method if we don't mind using it. Why don't we do that? That's an easy way to do it.
Now, while you're doing that, why are null comparisons flaky in JavaScript?
It's a good question. I definitely read the answer more than once. I do not remember the exact specifics, but basically null is like a reserved type, and it has funky properties that other types like undefined don't have.
Gotcha.
So over here, now that we've got that, we're going to say over here, if not is null, action dot action ID. And even before that, we can say if action and not is null action dot action ID. Okay, and then.
By the way, your stream is showing your Google results in your code editor at the moment.
Oh yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, in a minute it should catch up. And so only on that circumstance we will do this. And then we don't need this. Yeah, good call on the use effect, Elliot. That was a great idea.
Yeah. What can I say? I miss it. I'm so tired of using a pre-hooks version of React.
So now, well, it's still complaining on calling React here. What's going on? React hooks must be called in the exact same. Oh, I think I didn't put this far enough out. Hang on. There we go. Thank God for ESLint's rules of hooks, man. That thing knows more about coding than I do a lot of times. I love my plugins. All right, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. Just updating the dependencies based on recommendations that IntelliJ made for other things that it wants to see in that. Obviously, you know, if you're calling a method, you should have that method that you're calling inside of a use effect also be listed in its dependencies. That just makes sense.
It's just to ensure that the method is present before it gets run inside of the use effect.
Exactly that, yep. And that if for some reason any of those things changed, the use effect would be called again. Okay, folks, let's go ahead and try this again. What do you think? Is it going to work this time?
Yeah.
I'm still on 50-50.
All right, let's make GraphQL our biatch. Oof, brutal. I really thought that time it was the one.
Welcome to my world.
Okay, so now, though, we did solve the problem of making the variable present and making the checked on date present. So it might just be a formatting issue on that date. Error, error, my robot balls. Okay, duplicate key value violates unique constraint for that user ID, action ID. Let's go ahead and look at those constraints. So let's see here. In a minute, you guys should be able to see Hasura, and we're going to go ahead and look at the modification to look at the constraints and database. Strawberry schmeckles here. So we've got a unique key that says checked on user ID and action ID, and checklist checked on user ID, action ID key is throwing an error saying that we already have this data in the database. So if that were the case, we should be able to see that for the same action ID that we sent and the same date, and that would be DF98 on today's date. And I'm not really sure what user ID I am right now, but shouldn't be too hard to find because we only have so many of these. Here's today's 8. Here's DF98. So this must be that associated record, and this has got to be my user ID. Yep, that's me. So the good news is it worked. We got a record in there. The bad news is I think it fired twice, and that's why we got the constraint error. And also, it doesn't see it as checked here when it downloaded the data. But I think this is probably a good place to stop. We are getting results in our database. It looks like we are definitely getting somewhere. And just to show you here, I'm going to show you what I'm looking at inside here. It did fire twice here, but the first time that it fired, we got the ID correctly back of the added checklist item. And then the second time we got the constraint error. So now we just got to figure out some way to prevent this from firing twice. And that'll be the bug that we solve tomorrow. And we got to figure out why this object isn't getting merged into one object and correctly reflected in the state. But this is definite progress. I'm pretty happy to see it. We are getting our insert mutation taking place, and that's light years ahead of the problems we were having last week. So I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Me too.
Yeah, buddy.
So yeah, that'll be it for now. Thanks guys for jumping on and for your very helpful feedback as well. And we'll pick it up again around the same time tomorrow night.
It seems like fine.
Sounds good, boys.
Adios, amigos.
Carefully, guys.
Thanks, fellas. Catch you.